The all-wise and infallible Wikipedia defines racebending as a neologism that describes the changing of a character's perceived race or ethnicity during the adaptation of a work from one medium to another. And when it comes to the topic of racebending, it typically gets a negative response, to say the least. But can there be times when race swapping a very popular or well-known character have a positive outcome? Well, in this video, I'm going to be talking about some characters from TV and film that were the product of racebending that I actually didn't mind, and to be perfectly honest, thought they portrayed the character very well despite their physical features being different from the original source material. Now, I tried to find examples of racebending in different types of genres, but what I found was that pretty much 95% of any race swapping in film occurs in comic book related mediums. So a few of my picks will inevitably be comic book related, and I also know very well that this subject is quite controversial to say the least, so let's just keep any and all comments positive and or civil.
Bitch, don't be mad.
So with that out of the way, let's start with The Equalizer, starring the greatest of all time, Denzel Washington. Now this might come as a surprise to you, but the original Equalizer, Robert McCall, was played by a British fellow by the name of Edward Woodward in the TV series that ran from 1985 to 1989. Now both the series and films both center around a man with a very unique set of skills.
What I do have are a very particular set of skills.
Wait, that's the wrong franchise. Anyway, the Equalizer is a character that helps out those in need, righting the wrongs and bringing justice where none is to be found. Now that to me is a character trait that can be applied to any race, gender, or background. And if I'm being completely honest, I would watch Denzel Washington play any role in existence, regardless of race or ethnic background of the character. I would watch Denzel play George Washington, and afterwards demand he play Steve Jobs as well. And I think that's where our biases towards racebending comes into play, because I think most people really don't care as long as an actor they really love is playing the role.
The mistake you made was you killed my friend, so I'm going to kill each and every one of you, and the only disappointment in it for me is that I only get to do it once.
On to probably the most controversial portrayal of a fictional character is of the Major from Ghost in the Shell, played by Scarlett Johansson. Now if you haven't looked at Scarlett Johansson in a while, you'll come to see that she is of the Caucasian variety, and the character of the Major in the original manga is not.
Why are you white?
Or so the average person who's never read the manga or seen the anime film would think. But the shell in the title of the manga and anime refers to the cybernetic body that the Major's brain now resides in, after the Henka company took her body and dissected her to experiment and create super soldiers that have no souls and follow orders. So the color of the actor playing the Major really shouldn't be an issue. She's more artificial than she is human. In fact, her being played by a non-Asian actor furthermore solidifies the fact that Henka have taken her entire identity and humanity from her. So it really does make sense when you think about it.
Oh my god, Karen, you can't just ask people why they're white.
But the average person only sees a live-action anime/manga adaptation and assume literally every character in these stories are of Asian descent. When if we really look into it, there are a lot of anime characters that are not of Asian descent. They just might look that way because of the art style. Yes, the Major in the original source material is of Japanese descent, but I mean, even the director of the original anime, Mamoru Oshii, has stated that the Major is a cyborg and her physical form is an assumed one. He also had zero issue with ScarJo playing the Major. When someone who has a very personal connection to the source material says that the actress playing the role of a fictional character is okay with them, there's really no arguing with that. Another similar situation to Scarlett Johansson and Ghost in the Shell is Alita Battle Angel, which is also based on a Japanese manga, but Alita is a Martian cyborg with an assumed identity. In the live-action film, Alita is played by Rosa Salazar, who is definitely not Martian. So where's the outrage about that? Also, we need a sequel to Alita Battle Angel, like ASAP. Moving on, we have The Dark Tower. Now obviously with works that have a very loyal and vocal fan base, there are going to be people that disapprove of physical changes to a beloved character. And I completely understand that and sympathize. But when people go onto social media and post hateful comments, it no longer becomes a matter of fear of changing a character, but blatant racism.
Racism, let's do that shit, huh? Come on, if you're racist and you know it, clap your hands. What the fuck, bro?
Idris Elba faced a lot of this unnecessary racism when he was cast as Roland, aka the Gunslinger, but the creator of the character, Stephen King, gave his approval and has even said that he thinks Idris Elba played the character perfectly. So who should we listen to? Our own internal biases, trolls on the internet, or the creators of these characters? What seems to be a popular trend nowadays, especially in comic book films, is making traditionally white characters into people of color. Whether we agree with it or not, where we should all agree is that obvious and subtle racism should never be acceptable in the film community or anywhere else for that matter. Now from my final examples of race bending that I didn't mind are from comic book related media. Now these examples here are ones that I very much enjoyed the portrayals of the characters, regardless of the skin color of their comic book counterparts. In fact, I'll go as far as say that the actor's race was never even something I noticed or even cared about until I saw an uproar of angry fanboys on social media. First, there's Deadshot in Suicide Squad, played by Will Smith, who is just awesome and such a likable guy. So I really did not see the big deal with him playing an assassin who is white in the comics but primarily wears a metal helmet, obscuring his face anyway. Another villain who wears a mask 90% of the time is Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke. In the Titans series, he's played by Latino actor S.I. Morales, who I grew up watching in many films depicting Hispanic and Latin culture. So when I heard he was being cast as Slade Wilson, I was on board. And when I saw him in the suit, I was definitely sold. And until we see more of Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke, S.I. Morales easily is my favorite portrayal of the character. Strangely enough, that casting was actually met with a lot of praise, and it was warranted because S.I. Morales was great as Slade Wilson.
You're a monster. As are you. Only of a different breed. The pantheon of sins. Murder is far more honorable than betrayal. Watch closely, son. This is what happens to Titans.
On the other hand, the character and actor who got a ton of hate on Titans was Anna Diop as Starfire, and all of the hate was before the show even aired. It was completely unnecessary, and most of the people's complaints were solely because of her skin color. People were even going as far as mocking her hair and saying that she looked like a prostitute. Listen, Corianders is an alien. An orange-skinned alien. Did people really expect the studio to find a woman with excessive carotenemia or cover her in orange paint, which would look even worse? Anna Diop is great as Starfire, and she is absolutely beautiful. The hate she got was totally unwarranted and came from a place of pure ignorance. I mean, why was there no uproar about Samuel L. Jackson playing Nick Fury? Nick Fury was white in the comic. Jason Momoa looks nothing like the Aquaman in the comics, and Tom Hardy played Bane, who was Latino in the Batman comics. Where was the outrage of race bending in those cases? I say that to say this whole race bending thing is becoming a really annoying issue. As much as I would like these studios to start creating more characters with diverse backgrounds, I also don't completely mind when they decide to cast a person of color in a traditionally white role. But I don't know, that's just me. So that was very exhausting. Remember to drop a like on the video, leave a comment, love one another, and thank you for watching.
What is this? Is that just a rock? That's a sus rock. Let's be honest. Everything is sus under the ocean if you think about it long enough. SpongeBob lives in a pineapple under the sea? That's so sus.